So first of all, what can you tell us about your experience of Leeds International Festival of Ideas?
Brilliant, in a word. You know, informative, funny, and something that it's just. I think it feels like just feels really empowering when you know you're in a room full of that many people who are all kind of just wanting to learn. And I think you see that like, when you see so much TV and media and social media and you feel like what is it you're really taking in when you're able to be in a room like that where you sat there in front of professionals, people with experience in fields that, let's be honest, I have absolutely no idea about. It's just, yeah, like I think the big, as was mentioned, the big kind of overarching thing is the fact that it's broadening conversation, which is one of the most powerful things for the movement.
I'm sure there were lots, but what was kind of the main thing that surprised you that you heard in there tonight?
I don't know. To be honest, nothing massively surprising comes to mind. I guess there are figures that you have no idea about, which are shocking. But maybe it's a good thing that it feels like it's very of the now. Like it felt like the fact that the conversation was existing is it is indicative of the fact that people are interested. And I think maybe you're surprised by how many people are there. Maybe that's it. But it's a great thing.
What's one thing that you'll take away from what you've just heard?
I would say, maybe be more willing to ask direct questions. I guess, like with friends and family or people who you feel comfortable having those conversations with about their physical and mental health, and showing that you're willing to use the words that had been taboo in the past. And it's difficult. To be honest, it's quite hard to know exactly what you take from something like that, because it's something that you haven't had any real experience with just yourself. So you do feel like you're having to you're having to be led in a topic of conversation that you're inexperienced with. So it's hard to have sort of real definitive activist thoughts, I would say. But it's just having the open mind to listen, I suppose.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That was ace.
Yeah.
That was
Lovely.
brilliant. Thank you
Thank
so much for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Much
Lovely to
appreciated.
meet you.
Take
Thank
care.
you. First of all, what have you thought so far of the Leeds International Festival of Ideas?
Well, this is the first one that I've been to, and yeah, I found it really insightful. It's interesting, lots of new chats going on. I'm looking into some of the other ones coming up, so we'll see what they're like.
From the talk that you've just been to, what was one thing that really surprised you from that?
I was quite interested in the trans perspective on women's health. I know a little bit about it, working in a health profession myself. So to get more of that insight was really valuable to what I do and the patients that I work with in general.
And something that you're going to take away, what would you say, something that you've left that you're going to take with you?
Wording, so say periods, say vagina, say all the words that you're supposed to say. Don't cover up the stuff, it's not taboo, it's for everyone's benefit, women's health.
What are your first impressions of the Leeds International Festival of Ideas?
I mean, I was so happy we actually booked this talk, because it was actually the opening talk as well. This is literally the inauguration of this festival. I've been meaning to come since 4 years ago that I actually moved to Leeds. And yeah, it's been absolutely amazing. As soon as the talk started, it was just oozing. As soon as the director of the festival started talking, you could just feel the energy. Such beautiful vibes. As I was just saying, inspiration. I was literally just shaking as I was coming out. I was like, I hope I'm not gonna cry. Because I mean, there was so much crying. All of us sobbing, for all sorts of reasons. When you kind of feel that there's things that are being talked about that just not just impact you, impact everyone, and you just get inspired, and you're just like, we need to have these talks, we need to talk about these things more, we need to take this outside. And that's exactly what the call to action was. As soon as they opened it, just, take these conversations outside. And it's just like so soothing, even if it's like preaching to the choir for some people in there. It's just so soothing just to know that these things are being talked about, being looked after, in the public sphere. Like we just, we're engaging, and this is like our form of engaging. So, I mean, honestly, I'm actually kind of like I am shaking, and I'm just like in the best way possible. But it's been amazing. It's been so
Was
good.
there anything you heard tonight that surprised you?
I was really happy and surprised to find out that what I was calling PMS is actually called PMDD, and I was just like, oh right. I suppose this is the same thing, but that was like amazing. Obviously, the stats were like mind blowing, infuriating, but exactly at the right kind of like ratio of, I think, making everyone want to take action. I think what was beautiful as well was just like seeing all these people as well, like just the energy of the panel, just coming together and just talking about things that we kind of knew and that we kind of didn't know, but just like bringing all the information like together, like about like pads and tampons and like menopause, and just bringing everything together and just like making it seem like this kind of like seamless thing that should be women's health, like just making every part just connecting with each other. And I think that was the biggest like takeaway from it. Not just that we don't talk enough about it, but also just like to have the boldness to just go in there and like just everyone, even people like asking the questions, just bringing in their own input about how to tackle things, how to ask things, how to engage into things. And it was just, I think that was the biggest, like, I think, not surprised, but again, just like great to see so amplified, So I would say that.
I can tell how excited you are.
I'm sorry, like some sort, I know.
So excited about it. I've just got one more question.
Yes.
What is one thing that you're going to take away from what you've heard and what you've seen?
Just be bold, talk about it. As I think the lady that founded Good Bloody Period said, as she said, like just because something is cringe or someone is going to feel uncomfortable doesn't mean that that's where we stop. Basically, we definitely don't stop there, and it's just again, I would just like encourage everyone to just come to these talks, just like engage with these kind of like festivals. This is where it starts. Even if you just like on the fence about things, these things get you moving. Like it's there's so much power in just like preaching to each other. Like even if we know things already, just come here, talk about it. Like as soon as you leave here, talk to other people about it. That's it. That's essentially it.
First of all, tell us what your impressions of Leeds International Festival ideas.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's such a novel idea for a festival. Exploring ideas is really important and powerful. So it's a way of discussing and communicating things that might not normally be discussed. So I think it's a really good platform for people to share ideas and maybe make a change as a result of that.
During the Women's Health Talk that you attended, what was something that surprised you there?
There was lots of things. It was actually a really powerful session. We came out feeling really sort of pumped up and hopeful, which is really, really good. There was lots of sort of statistics and pieces of information, shocking things as well that you wouldn't really expect. But also some really positive movements, social action, things that can be done. So yeah, lots of things to think about.
You've touched on it there pretty much, but what's one thing that you think you will take away from tonight?
To be honest, there was lots of powerful pieces of information from that. I think sort of self-advocacy, feeling empowered to be able to talk about women's health, to stand up for things that you believe, and also to sort of trust your instincts as well, I think, is really, really important.
First of all, tell us, what's your impression so far of the Leeds International Festival of Ideas?
I feel like I've come from the first one, so I feel like it just gets bigger each year, it gets better each year. there's more people are talking about it on the streets, and you see more things around, and I just think it gets better with each time.
The Women's Health that you just attended, what was something from that surprised you, do you think?
When one of them said that 70% of the women in the room would have fibroids, that was something that really shocked me, because I knew of it, but you never think that it would be you, or you never think that you should go and get that checked. So that was very shocking to me. It was like a gobsmack moment. I really didn't think that would be, the percentage would be that high.
What's something that you're going to take away from this?
Going to my doctor and pushing for diagnoses, pushing for not just being turned away, and talking to my other female friends, my other friends who have uteruses, and saying, you need to go and get that checked out. We need to start talking about this. And also to my male friends, my friends who don't have uteruses, this is something we need to talk about more, and we all need to be more comfortable talking about it. Yeah.
So a bit of education and self-advocacy as well.
Definitely.
So what made you want to come to the Leeds International Festival of Ideas?
You were the one who...
Yeah, I was the one that booked it. I saw the Instagram adverts for it, and I just thought it looked really interesting. I think it's good because it's accessible and, opens ideas like this to a wider audience that perhaps wouldn't otherwise be interested in things like this, especially having people like Bimini here. I thought it was really good and really interesting.
Definitely. I think having a wider range of conversations coming into play, again, with audiences that might not have these conversations at home or with their particular group of people, being in an environment that is surrounded by like-minded people, or perhaps not like-minded people, will open up conversations. And the speech that they gave at the beginning of this event was try and engage in conversations with people that you might not particularly normally engage with, and that's where the change begins. So,
what's something that you're going to take away from tonight?
I think it's all to do with confidence for me, having personal experience with figuring out my gender and everything, and I'm non-binary myself, and I've always kind of felt like, even within that community, that there's a right and a wrong way to do it. And from having this talk today, I've kind of realised that there should be no other voice other than your own in that experience, and I think definitely just listening to what it is that I want to do is the right way to do it, and no one else can tell me otherwise. So it's all to do with what makes me feel good rather than what makes others feel comfortable.
Yeah. And for me, I think mainly activism. I think, like, in terms of academically, I'm very politically aware, but maybe external to like my academic career and journey. I think that was the main focus for me. I think they're both very empowering and encouraging to like take your knowledge outside of academia and essays, and yeah.
So tell us, Oscar, why did you want to come down to the Leeds International Festival of Ideas?
Well, I'm from Leeds, and I think it is an excellent way for the city to express itself and exhibit the fact that we are an international community and we have an international presence. So the idea that we would have international speakers come here to give out and to speak about what they have to offer, I think is an excellent idea. And the fact that tonight we had someone from Brighouse interviewing someone, from Norfolk about non-binary and about queerness, the fact that that is a conversation that echoes around the world, and it's in Leeds, and I live here, it's brilliant.
What's something that you're going to take away from tonight?
The fact that to be queer and to be creative means, to an extent, to be restless, to an extent, and to push and to query and to queer what people take for granted around you. And what an excellent message for anyone to have. But I hope that I honour that by taking it forward and making it real by my actions as I go forward.
So Izzy, tell us, why did you want to come down to the Leeds International Festival of Ideas?
Well, I just really wanted to see Bimini and Davina. They were like my favourites on Drag Race UK when I did watch it. So I couldn't believe that they were going to be talking to each other. So I thought can't miss that, and I have to go. Yeah.
And what's something that you're going to take away from what you've seen tonight?
Just the really powerful conversations that people were having, and the kind of the safe space that was created with so many people in one room. And I think it was great as well that people could also pose their own questions and ask their opinions and advice on things. I thought that was brilliant.
What brought you down to Leeds International Festival of Ideas tonight?
I live beside here, and I was unaware that it happened until recently. So my friend and boss actually gave me the tickets, and I didn't know it was happening. I was very, very excited when I saw the agenda, and I'm a big Ab Fab fan. So when I found out Ruby was here, I was very excited when I found out she had some tickets to see Ruby.
And what have you learned from the wonderful Ruby tonight?
Do you know what? We were just speaking about this in the bathroom, and it's that resilience. I remember watching her as a small child in the 90s on TV, and for her to have gone through the journey that she's gone through and to still be here and still be relevant, I think that's so admirable. I think as women, it's very easy to get swallowed up, and you see a lot of people, women and men, or identify, whatever way you identify, get very bitter when they get chewed up and spat out. And she's actually, I think for me, a testament to resilience and compassion, and actually somebody who can appreciate that you just can't have everything in life sometimes.
And you mentioned a few things there. What are you going to take away from tonight?
Yeah, I think for me it's really inspirational to see somebody who's actually stuck with something for so long that they have. She's naturally comedic, and sometimes that's easy to be dismissive of how intelligent and how great somebody is and that power that they have, but she actually owns it in a way. And I think sometimes maybe for me, I kind of lean a little bit too into the funny, and I think it's good to actually know that you still can be serious and do great things, but also make people laugh.
So what made you want to come to Leeds International Festival of Ideas tonight?
There's nothing like it that I've ever been to. It's talks that I'd never have had a chance to go see, and they're really important topics.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan from beginning. I've been coming every year, so it's great to be back and seeing the culture in real swing. So it's great.
And the particular talk you've seen tonight, Ruby Wax, what are you going to take away from that? What have you learned?
Ruby Wax is a badass. Chief, primarily. She had a lot to say about the practicalities of applying mindfulness and the benefits that she's got from it. She had sort of a rigid focus on the science of it, so it actually makes a change in the brain. You can see it, point to it on the screen. It's nice to get rid of all the woolliness of it, but she's got a lot of humour as well, and it was just a delight to watch her.
Yeah, same. I'm a big fan of her for years as well. I enjoy her character and charisma and everything. So it was lovely to hear her try and being herself.
And coming back to the festival, what are you going to take away from this year's event?
This year's event? The whole event. Yeah, so I'm going to be meditating, definitely. Give that a crack, see if I can get some of those brain changes she was talking about. But there were talks on gender and things like that. And whenever gender comes up, it's always about exploring what's actually going on under the hood and sort of being one's true self, as trite as it sounds. I think it's really important to reinforce that and talk to people about it. And,
I feel like Andrew gives so much better answers than me. It's not fair. Well, for me, it's like I love that, and the fact it makes you think, and I love the fact that there's so many like-minded people, and again the culture element of it, and the fact that city comes together doing this thing is great. So yeah,
we came along today because we've loved Ruby Wax for a long time. We just thought she'd have a lot to say, comedy style, and just the whole idea of the festival, just being able to come away, learn something new, take something from it. Yeah, it's been great.
You mentioned there, what did you learn from tonight?
I think it was quite surprising for me because I wasn't sure what to expect, and I'm interested in exploring mindfulness a lot more, and having heard her story and the background to it, and we did a kind of a minute's practice of it, was really interesting and really quite insightful as well.
Have you ever been to anything like that before, especially said with the mindful practice within the talk itself? Was that quite a unique experience?
Yeah, I'd say it was. Actually being able to do that with a full audience and actually go, okay, this is what we're here, and actually experience it live. It was really powerful, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
And what are you going to take away from tonight?
Try to I tell myself I'm going to do it all the time, never do. I'm going to meditate, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. We were talking about it earlier, but just try to, because it is actually easy. It's not something that actually takes effort. We could do it right here, right now. I think just trying to practice it and get into the habit of it, just for all of our own mental health, I think it's really important.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
definitely that. And I think to have the conversation more around it as well. Got daughters at home, and to just kind of have more of that conversation about being present in the moment, and taking some time for your own self-care, I think as well is really important.
So why did you want to come to Leeds International Festival of Ideas?
Come here tonight to see a true crime event. So panel of people discussing all different types of true crime, documentaries, dramatisations, that sort of thing. Just purely because me and my friends have got fascination with true crime and all things serial killers. So yeah.
And with having that existing kind of fascination with it, have you learned anything tonight? Was there anything unexpected that you heard?
Nothing unexpected, but I did find it interesting. I actually work in the criminal justice system, so I'm a probation officer, so I work with criminals all day, every day. But it was nice to get a perspective from people that work in acting, in the media and journalism, and to see their sort of take on it. So I found that really interesting.
So from kind of hearing from different people, is there anything that you'll be taking from tonight forward with you?
Definitely. I think lots about victim impact and how the wording of things and the names that are given to stories, how that impacts on victims. I think that's made it a bit more sort of important in my mind to focus on those.
So first of all, tell us, why did you come to Leeds International Festival of Ideas?
So I've actually come because I'm a podcast host, and I was invited here to do a little bit of coverage and promotion for this event. So before the actual event started, I came and I was speaking to some of the attendees, why they like true crime, what their obsession is, and why they're here. And with that, I got myself a little free ticket to the event, which I came and watched, which I really enjoyed, and I thought it was a very useful discussion to listen to.
Obviously, you talk about this every day in your job, but have you learned anything new tonight from the talk?
The thing I enjoyed was listening to actually all of the guests, but Richard McCann was the one I was looking forward to listening to. I've done a case on Peter Sutcliffe, and I was trying to be more victim focused, so I called mine the Forgotten 13. The 13 victims of Peter Sutcliffe, his mum being the first one that was murdered rather than just attacked by Sutcliffe. So it was good to hear from him about what his opinion was on people that make content on that, whether or not contacting him is the right thing to do. I didn't, just because I'm an independent sort of producer, and time-wise it doesn't really make sense to contact everyone, and he's probably never going to hear it as well, which is another thing. So I was excited to hear from him.
So you kind of touched on it there, but is there anything that you're going to take away from this now going forward?
Just to maintain that respect for the victims, because I've been to a few conventions recently, and previously I was guilty of giving the perpetrator's moniker, calling my episodes that, and I've kind of left them up because I want people to see the journey I've been on, from the person who was focusing on the perpetrators to focusing more on the victims. So just to take away that reiteration that you have to focus on the victims, keep it respectful, but for me it's important to focus on the perpetrator objectively, which was touched upon as well, because it's how they got there and why they committed what they did that's also interesting.
So what made you want to come to Leeds International Festival Ideas?
Well, we're getting on in years, my wife and I, and we're still trying to keep our brains going. We're still trying to be interested in the world and what's going on, and this is a very good venue to do so.
And what have you learned from the talk that you just went to?
We're in a mess. Obviously, politics is a very difficult subject at the moment, but I thought the panel were very well balanced. There were 4 different views about the topics, and I thought they addressed them in a very reasoned way. There wasn't too much of point scoring from one to the other, but people trying genuinely to answer the question, which is not the norm when you watch a lot of political things. So I was quite happy about that.
And what do you think you'll take away from today?
Well, that there are still people that are keen and good. It's always very interesting to listen to ex-politicians, because they actually then tell you what they really think.
It can be a bit more honest.
Yes, and you get a better picture of what they have to cope with on the one hand and what they're trying to do. So I thought the insights into the workings both of the older and indeed that remarkable young lady who was so impressive was really a little bit of ground for hope.
What made you want to come to Leeds International Festival Ideas today?
Well, I think we're both interested in politics, so when we saw that subject, thought that sounds very interesting. Also, the panel was very good. Obviously, the chair has changed a couple of times, but I watched the news agent, so I was quite pleased that Lewis Goodall was involved.
Yeah, agree. Like, we follow all the sort of podcasts on politics, and really like the panel setup. So I knew it'd be a good debate, and figured it would probably be something similar to Question Time, which I often like watching. So yeah, it's good to be here live.
What do you think you've learned from what you've just heard?
I think it's interesting listening to other people's views on how to fix the political system. I think there was a general consensus that we need to have proportional representation. Equally, it was interesting hearing Amber Rudd's almost glossing over the problems that non-proportional representation is causing, so that I found that quite interesting.
Yeah, there was a great mix of different views there from different parties. It would have been interesting to see had there been somebody who was still very firmly fixed that the current political system is working really well, which we didn't have, that could have maybe created a bit more fire. But I thought the discussion between Lewis and the four panelists was excellent, and they all made some really good points and the follow-up questions. So yeah, it was very broad range of views.
What do you think you'll both take away from today?
I think it's just interesting to listen to other people's points of view. I think we'll take away some discussion points. We're going to go down the pub, and no doubt we'll continue this discussion later.
For hours and hours, yeah.
And that's what the festival wants people to do, exactly. So you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, there was some. I thought that there were some points there that I hadn't really thought about much. So it's because you kind of often think of politics in the only on the points that and the subjects that matter to you. So it's interesting to hear the subjects and the questions on those subjects that are more important to other people, and hence Tom's point on the People's Assembly that would, because I don't know what other people think. So to set up an assembly and hear those views and take those away, so that the politicians that we've currently got don't just make policies on what they think is going to get them re-elected.
So what made you want to come to Leeds International Festival Ideas today?
So we live in Leeds city centre, so it's super local to us. I've come to this for a couple of years now, so I think it's really important to support such an amazing festival. It's very rare you see such great names and big names coming to Leeds. So yeah, we just wanted to come and support it. Thought it was a good thing to do on a Saturday.
Absolutely, really different and interesting thing to come to. It's not often you see something like this put together, so really good.
What do you think you've learned from today?
Very good question.
I would say that because you get such a range of, we just went to politics talks, because it's such a range of panelists, you get just such different ideas and topics. It's really interesting.
And obviously the festival, its aim is to get people talking about things that they maybe didn't know about, or that they did, but explore them more. What do you think you're going to take away from today?
I just think that you can have people from different backgrounds, different opinions, actually talking, and instead of it being so argumentative against each other, just that they can have their different ideas, actually bring them to the table and talk about it. I think that's important. So,
what made you want to come to Leeds International Festival of Ideas today?
Well, we are both economists, and we are very interested in the issues with CBDC, which is quite a new topic in economics. I would say very important for the society and how it's going to shape economics relations.
Yeah, I wanted to learn more about it. I'm not in the monetary side of economics, but it's really interesting to know what would be the effects of it in real economy, and what can we, what are the new ideas and what's the debate going?
And what have you learnt today, do you think?
Quite a lot.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to kind of digest all the information.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to know what they've been thinking about regulations, what are the firm side of all of this, what are the business doing. But at the same time, it just brings a lot more questions out that we as researchers, which is really interesting. Yeah.
And what do you think you'll take away from today with you?
I think the debate about stable coins, cryptocurrencies, the differences between them, and perhaps the new steps for making sure that this CBDCs, how the Bank of England will make it operable for the society and the domestic kind of payment. So,
Yeah. For me, it's a little bit more of how would business operate day to day? Like, what does this imply? What is the actual, how does the wallet would work in a small corner store, and what would that mean for the public and for the people? So, yeah, that's interesting.
So what's brought you to Leeds International Festival of Ideas today?
So I came last year and I really enjoyed the conversations, really enjoyed the topics of the discussions that we're having and bringing them out into the open. So looking at this year's, I mean, just the people on the panels I was really interested in. And yeah, it was just great topics to be choosing this year.
What are you hoping to get from tonight?
Okay, sorry. Just other views on the different topics and people's experiences and how they've affected them. And yeah, just to see so many people come together to talk about a topic that in some sense is a bit taboo because not many people know how to address it. So yeah.
And what about yourself? What are you hoping to get from tonight?
Same as Julia. Yeah, no, it's always interesting to hear other people's point of view, their personal experiences. So I mean, I work with grief, suicide and stuff on a daily basis. And yeah, stuff like this is just really important to come for. So we class it as like professional development as well. So it's just really helpful for us. Yeah.
And you mentioned you've been to other LIFI years. What's kind of different about this year, do you think?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's how broad the discussions have been. So from wanting to live a good life, and last year they spoke about mental health. Oh, you've got the thing there, haven't you?
That was such a good answer.
Can't remember my train of thought now. So last year you guys did one about mental health, and I'm really glad that that's been expanded and like used as an umbrella. So talking about women's health and that umbrella again, and then today about grief. As we've said, we're all counsellors, so talking about that as well, because it is a very natural process, and yeah, just opening that conversation as well.
So what's brought you to Leeds International Festival of Ideas tonight?
Christopher Eccleston.
Okay. In 2 words, good. What about yourself?
Christopher Eccleston and the fact that he's talking about social mobility. As a clearly working class girl, for me it's really important to have role models who have broken that mould and who are talking about their experiences.
And what are you hoping to get from tonight?
A date. With Christopher Eccleston.
I'm sure you're not the only person in the audience who's feeling like that.
No, it's a secret. Just to hear about his experiences and see how other people could maybe learn from what he's done and realise that there isn't a glass ceiling if you do certain things or, have belief in yourself.
And why do you think it's important to be hearing from this sort of wide range of voices that the festival are putting on?
That's a difficult one, actually, isn't it?
Well, this is the first thing we've seen at the festival, and in terms of what Chris has got to say. We love Chris because he is from, as Martine said, that working class, not lost his roots, and we're interested. And he talks about how the creative arts are middle class and full of what have you. And so we just love him.
So tell us, why have you come to Leeds International Festival of Ideas?
Because I'm a huge fan of Christopher Eccleston, and this book, which I have read, is fantastic. It's one of the best autobiographies I've ever read because it's honest, and it's not a lot of. I've got so many autobiographies, and a lot of them are not being funny, but a little bit kind of lovey. Whereas this doesn't pull any punches. It just says it as it is, from the heart, and he doesn't shy away from things. He just says it truthfully. He's a good guy.
See if they stop playing that. We can go again. If you just remember,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
keep looking
Right.
at me, ignore him. And what are you hoping to get from this evening?
More about the man himself, because I mean, you get quite a lot from the book, but to actually hear it from him, it'll be fantastic. In his words as the Doctor, fantastic.
And lastly, why do you think having speakers such as Christopher in Leeds is such an important thing?
Because the Playhouse really set him on his course, because he was giving up acting, and then he got cast in Hamlet here, and that turned him around to show that he would stick with it and he would be an actor, and then he went on to greater success with Doctor Who and played the National Theatre, and he's quite big in America, and all thanks to the Playhouse really.